I'll start.
Let's go. It's time. Put on play pants.
I'll start 2 weeks in a row. Hey, it's 2 weeks in a row. This is the Play Pants podcast. That's Jason Ginty right there. That's my good buddy. I've known that guy a long, long time. I can't believe I get to do a podcast with him. This is podcast 92. And like I said, wow, 2 weeks in a row. I want to talk just a little bit of football.
Yeah.
Big album is having an anniversary, or is it a big album? That's a good question. I sent Jason 2 top 5 ideas. He picked the wrong one.
I know I did.
You picked the wrong one, but we are going to still go with the one that you picked. But I'm going to prove to you that you picked the wrong one today on the show. So that's going to be enjoyable to me today.
You don't have to prove it. I already admit I picked her. As I'm doing it, I'm going, I picked the wrong one. I'll fall on that sword.
To really, one really good idea and one just kind of okay one. And he took the okay one. And I'm like, okay, well, I can fly on either one of these, but I look forward to rubbing that one in your face a little bit. Jason, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Look, dude, I'm succinctly going to put this to you, okay?
I don't even know what that means. I don't even know how you're putting. I don't know what succinct means.
Let me just say this, okay? I'm not like this because I'm in Van Halen.
Oh my God.
I'm in Van Halen because I'm like this, okay? Yes, I am watching Cousin. I am finally up on the bear. I don't want to give out anything because people haven't seen it yet. Holy shit, I love it.
Have you finished both seasons?
No, I'm like halfway through season 2, and fucking great. It's great.
I told you how great it is.
It's so great. In a couple of things, without ruining anything for anybody, because I don't want to do that. I hate that.
Don't worry about it. Fucking ruin it, man. I want to talk about it. I don't get to talk about it with anybody.
But what's great about it is, it's and the more I watch, the more I'm like, God, I've been in the South for a long time. I'm watching it through my 26 years of living in the South. And I'm like, these motherfuckers are harsh. They're mean. They're cold. They're tough. They're from Chicago. It's the series is based in Chicago. I'm like, God, that's what I used to be like. Like, don't you get that feeling, man? Like that's rough shit. I don't feel that way anywhere I live and work in New Orleans. It ain't that vibe at all.
No, and I knew that I kind of came down south with that attitude, and I acted like that. Plus, I was pretty fresh off of the restaurant scene. I did 8 years in a restaurant.
Right.
And it was fast paced. It was yelling at one another. It was yelling, screaming, everything. And the bear is so unbelievably great. It makes me, because Jeremy Allen White is so good. He's the main character in it. It makes me want to go back and watch Shameless because everybody said that he's great in Shameless. I just couldn't get into that show because it was filthy. Like, not sexually filthy or bad language. It looked dirty to me.
Yeah, it was.
Everybody seemed unkept and unclean. And I couldn't get into it. But I almost want to go back and watch him. He is so unbelievably great in The Bear. And I want to buy Hulu for my sister because I know she'll love it. We're so the same. And she's like, I don't need another streaming service. I'm like, I need you to see this show. More so than Ted Lasso, more so than anything else out there. I need my sister to watch The Bear. I know she'll love it.
I think it's so great. And since I was a busboy in a restaurant, so I was in a kitchen scene, but I was just that guy getting yelled at all the time. So I didn't have a dog in the hunt. You were in the shit, as they say. You were in the weeds, dog. A lot there, Cousin. And like, is it pretty? I mean, every restaurant has its own, vibe, right? Its own way of handling business. But is that pretty much on point? Like, are you just fucking, all right, get your goddamn fish fries done. We got to go. Is it that?
Yeah.
Accurate?
And if you forgot something, the waitress would come back and she's like, I need that coleslaw on the rail. The rail meant you guys fucked up. Get it out here right now. I know I wrote it down. I need coleslaw on the rail. Now, this would be yelled at us. And you didn't take it personally.
Right.
She may have not written it down, but you're going to give her the benefit of the doubt because you're not going to get into it right there. You got that coleslaw up on that rail immediately. I mean, and you could tell by the intensity of how it was said. There's some freakouts in the kitchen in the Bear.
Yeah.
And, you know, we didn't call each other chef, but I'll tell you what, I've caught myself a little bit, you know, like I answer my daughter all the time. You know, she's just constantly, Daddy, this, Daddy, Daddy. Like, yes, yes. I said, yes, chef. Yes, chef. Yes, dear. Because I answer her, yes, dear. That's how I answer her every time. And I try to make sure that I acknowledge every time she wants to get a hold of me. Daddy, look at this. Oh my God, Daddy, look. Yes, dear. Yes, dear. I said yes, chef before. I have. I will 100% admit that. It just comes out.
I'll fucking open a bag of chips, right? Or something like that and bring it to the couch so me and the wife will watch it. I'm like, here you go, chef. She's like, oh, thanks, chef. Nice. Oh, these are good. Like,
Good,
so it's a whole fucking game.
Next time you're doing anything, I need hands. I need hands.
Fucking love it.
Lingo, everything is great. Dude, you are
so
not
great.
going to be disappointed in the direction that it's going. I'm so excited for you on where you're at and what's coming. But cousin, I'll just say this. He is absolutely the best. He's one of my all-time favorite characters. And he was the biggest pussy ever. He was in that show Girls. The Lena Dunham. Was that Girls?
Yeah. Never watched it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was like this wussy musician boyfriend. Like everyone hated him. Desi, I think his name was. And I just thought, okay, you ever watch somebody in a role and you think, okay, they're kind of going to be that person for the rest of my life.
Oh, okay.
And cousin, that's his role on the show. It's just like nothing you've ever seen. We can leave it alone after this. Have you seen the Christmas episode yet?
No. I just got to the part where he met the chick. Him and the chick hooked up. So, yeah.
Oh, the replacement song is coming.
And the music is great.
The music is great. Lots of REM and just great music, great cinematography. I'm just curious, like, what your brother-in-law thinks of that show, just because he's in the biz. The cinematography in that is just spectacular.
The way they work the kitchen, that's tight space shit. You know what I mean? Like, you are in tight space, but in a kitchen, you're in tight space, you know? And it's like to have all those people in that, and then, you know, you had to go to chef school to learn how to cut and all that shit because they're in it. I feel like there's scenes and we can move on in a second, but there's scenes when I'm watching it where I'm like, I can smell what they're cooking. That's how great it is. Like and I'm starving. At the end of every episode, I'm fucking starving.
You'll start doing some deep dives. You'll start realizing that Jeremy Allen White did have to go to culinary school.
Right.
And then you start digging into, you know, what his tattoos mean. And I mean, everything is so well thought out on that show. I'm so upset that it's over with. We just did and you know what? I mean, I'm really super high on it right now. So I would love to enjoy it from the beginning, but I'm going to throw this at you. If your memory could be erased, one show that you would watch it for the very first time, knowing how exciting it is and everything, what show would you erase from your memory bank to start from scratch?
Such a great question, man.
Because I was so upset when that show was over. I'm like, I wanted more. I want so much more, you know? And there's another season coming, so that's good news. But
yeah,
so for me, it was Game of Thrones. That's the only other time that I just got, like, it took over my life, you know, because I was playing catch up to try to watch the finale with the whole world. So I was on it was a job. It was my second job watching Game of Thrones, but it was so exciting. I don't think I've ever been that nerded out over a TV show. That was my choice.
I would say probably the same, just because it was like that. And I came to it late, but I by season 3 I had caught up and I was taking the ride with everybody. But I came to it late because I was like, dragons, come on, man, I'm not some Dungeon and Dragons dork. You know what I mean? But then all of a sudden I'm like, I guess I am. And it's awesome. Yeah. But what's interesting about that is I've gone back and watched certain episodes from Game of Thrones, and you know, they're fucking great. You can go back and watch some of them, like the Battle of the Bastards version, where it's Jon Snow and he's just him and all the dudes coming at him, like that episode where he beats the shit out of that one dude with the dogs. I don't want to give away too much in case you haven't seen it. You know what I mean? But
you can talk, and there's no spoilers for Game of Thrones right now.
But like, holy fuck, that episode is so bad. And there's a couple others like that just stand alone and they're movies.
So, and that's it. We're done. on Hulu, the Bears Red Wedding is coming. Okay?
Can't wait.
It's coming.
Can't wait.
I can't wait. Like, if you want to like break off and do a separate Bear podcast and just do nothing but talk about the Bear, I'm down. You want to scrap play pants and just do Bear pants? I'm in. I will do that. That's how obsessed I am with this show.
That is funny because at first I was like, okay, this is cool. But I dug the kitchen thing. And, it's like we've talked about before. It's like, if it comes down to hiring two people that are exactly the same, but one of them's got kitchen or restaurant, I'm picking restaurant every time. You know what I mean? And they don't versus someone who doesn't because you've been in the shit, as they say. And I just forgot how harsh, how harsh it is up north. Like people are just colder. And I remember people for years saying that to me all the time. Like, why are you so fucking cold? I'm a dick, first of all. Second of all, I come from the Northeast. That's the way we were.
Yeah, and there's a couple of really solid jagoffs. There's a couple, and you got a couple coming. There's a couple of really solid. The usage of jagoff is coming, and it's awesome. It's great.
There's good rap. There's all that good shit. I don't know about you, Rod, but I'm excited. And in the last few years, I think we've talked about this last year. I haven't been that jacked up about football the last couple of years. I just haven't. I think, what I think part of the problem is, we in New Orleans got spoiled with Drew Brees. He left and then our team went to shit. So I was kind of like, nah, who gives a fuck, right? Still love the Bills. This year, I am so excited on multiple levels. I don't even care about my teams. Okay, I care about the Bills. But like, there's so many badass storylines this year with the NFL. Like, if you think about it, you got Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets. What the fuck is going to happen there, right?
When Buffalo's playing them, right?
Yeah, they're playing. It's like their home opener, the first game of the season.
September 11th in New York.
Oh, Jesus. Well, just add more to it,
Mm-hmm.
And then like Sean, for New Orleans fans, Sean Payton's going to the Broncos, and they were shit last year. And it's going to be fun to watch can he turn that around in that brutal division? You know what I mean?
But dude, don't bury the headline, man. You do have a quarterback now. Tell me what you're thinking about him.
I think he's going to be great. I just don't think I don't know if we have the offensive minds in the coaching staff to help that dude. We have a great offensive coordinator, but our coach he's a defensive guy. So we'll see what happens. Does he just let him run wild and say, here, you handle the offense, I'll take care of D? Or what? I think Derek Carr's going to be badass.
I don't know how much Carr has left in the tank. I didn't really watch him. I know that he had a couple of really, really great seasons. I was excited for the Saints to get him.
Yeah.
He couldn't come here to Houston. You just can't have Carr quarterback. You just couldn't do it. I don't want to get into that.
Right.
But for the Texans, super excited about the Bills. It's the most excited I've been about the Texans in a number of years. CJ Stroud, the number 2 pick in the draft. And then the Texans went fucking uber aggressive and got the 3rd pick in the draft and took like one of the best defensive players that came out of college this year. So, the number 2 quarterback, which, 1 and 2, nobody's saying that the guy that went 1, I can't think of his name, but nobody's saying that like he was 10 times better. He wasn't this generational guy. I feel like this CJ Stroud kid really could be special. Now he's starting, and to bring up the name I just said, Carr, everyone knows David Carr just got crushed here. He was the first quarterback of the franchise, and there was no offensive line. There was no help. And, it was the same thing as like being like shell shock, I think. He broke the record for being sacked the most times, and I don't think he ever recovered from that. So, I have different feelings about starting a rookie quarterback, but he has to start. I mean, this franchise needs it. We have a new coach. This is how long, Jason, I've been in Houston. The guy that's coaching the Texans used to be my player years ago on the air, D'Amico Ryans. He has done his time as a player in Houston. Then he left, played for another team. Then he started coaching and worked his way up to a head coach. And Daddy's still here. Daddy's still right here.
Sweet Jesus, dude.
Yeah, he was my dude one year, and he's our head coach. So he's a young, exciting guy. So Texans, Patriots, Thursday at 6. Bills, Colts on Saturday. Saints, Chiefs on Sunday. It's phony football. It's preseason, but it's awesome. I think we should probably wait. Can we take a look at some of these preseason games before I knew we laid down some numbers last year. Can we do that like maybe before week 1?
I think before week 1, we should just go, all right, here's what we got. And then at the end of the year, we can go, okay, we don't know shit. Because it's a cool thing to do. It's like, when you listen to sports talk radio, and I don't listen to it enough to really pay attention, but when I do hear it, they're all geniuses, right? They all know how to coach. They all know the best player to get. They know all the best plays to play. But then the next week happens, they're like, okay, well, that didn't work out. It's like, I want to have the receipts. At the beginning of the year, you say, 10-6 for the Texans, and I say, 9-7 for the Saints or whatever. And at the end of the year, we can go, here's what you said, dumbass. You didn't get it right.
Yeah.
It's fun to have that game. A lot of guys just kind of, you can spout off and then there's no repercussions.
I mean, here we are. We're in August. We're talking about a football game on tomorrow. Texans are playing tomorrow on the 10th. We're going to be talking this way until February. I mean, football every week. So I'm glad that you're excited about it. I'm super excited. Last year was the first year that I ever got the NFL ticket. And I think there were only maybe 3 Bills games that weren't like easily accessible, meaning nationally televised games. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but the NFL ticket has moved over to YouTube.
Right.
And I haven't looked into it yet, to be honest with you. So I probably should have got the early deal. It was discounted if you got in early. I didn't do that. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet this year, but it was awesome having every NFL football, every Bills game on, and then switching and going between the other ones. It was first time I ever allowed myself that luxury.
It is fun, man. I mean, because, like I said, last year, I just didn't care. I just lost interest in it all. And I paid attention, but it was like, whatever. Who gives a shit?
I remember you last year talking about it, that you weren't into it. And it's like, oh, boo-hoo. You had Drew Brees all those years. You were so awesome all those years.
Spoiled.
And now you're a little bitch because you lost your golden child.
Yep. And our team was shit last year. And it just, I don't know. It wasn't just that. But this year, there's so many cool storylines throughout the league that you're like, like Detroit, you want to see what they're going to do now because they were good at the end of last year. I mean, there's a lot going on. So it should be a pretty interesting year. I know what I'm doing on Sundays now, at least.
If you want to, this is for everyone, and then we'll move on. If you want to get into football, just into it in general, nothing better than Hard Knocks. And I don't know where I missed the announcements and all the trailers and everything, but Alex said to me this week, he said, Hard Knocks just started. And I said, where? I don't even know where they are. Like, what team is it? It started already, but Hard Knocks, I don't care what the team is, because you mentioned Detroit and they were last year. It doesn't matter. It just gets you into football. Right. Hard Knocks is done so good.
I've never seen an episode.
Oh my God. That will give you such an awesome taste. That will get you so thirsty for football.
Will that give me a football hard-on, Rodney?
Yeah, you will.
Okay.
Football.
I was curious. I was thinking maybe it would. A little chubby football in my pants.
This podcast is coming out on a Thursday, August 10th. Big anniversary of the very first Red Hot Chili Pepper album. Self-titled album came out 39 years ago in 1984.
All right. Was it really big, though? Because I didn't know about it.
I didn't know about the Chili Peppers when that first album came out. Even milling about, 84. Damn. No.
Did anybody really outside of California? Did anybody know?
Because it's pre me and the college. It's pre everything. You know what I mean? So then 85, Freaky Styley comes out.
Yeah. Nope.
I still don't know who the Red Hot Chili Peppers are.
Nope.
Uplift Mofo Party Plan, 1987, the year I graduated from high school. I'm listening to different things. I'm open to it. Got a little Faith No More in my life, right? If you're talking about like something that's similar, like a rap and a rock thing, and I think by now I've heard of the band Fishbone. Mother's Milk comes out in 1989, and that, for me, just being honest, that's the first time the Red Hot Chili Peppers come on my radar. They're already a band for 5 years. Mother's Milk, because that's Higher Ground.
Right.
That's the Stevie Wonder cover.
Stevie Wonder cover, but yeah, I didn't know shit about the Chili Peppers at that point. You still keep going. I'm still not on board. I don't know who.
Well, then you got to go to September 24th, 1991. pretty significant date in music because Blood Sugar Sex Magic comes out. Suck My Kiss is already on the radio weeks before that. So then there's a bunch of people running around saying that they love the Red Hot Chili Peppers. September 24th, 1991, Nirvana releases Nevermind on the exact same day.
Yeah.
No one talks about the Cult Ceremony coming out that day. And Bad Motorfinger was supposed to come out that day, and it got pushed back to October for, it wasn't reasons that you think like, oh, Nirvana is so big.
No.
Nobody knew Nirvana was big.
Nobody knew.
But Bad Motorfinger was also supposed to come out on September 24th, 91, and then it got pushed back to October. But yeah, so let's keep this Chili Peppers. 1984. It's 39 years that they're the debut of their debut album. I don't know one person. I mean, I don't even know the hippest of hip person that would celebrate that as a. I mean, the Chili Peppers huge, but it really took them to their fourth album to break through.
It just goes to show you overnight success, right? Overnight success. That's how it works. You got to grind for years before you're an overnight success. Anyone will tell you that. What's interesting, because I came to the game late, like 90, 91, 92. I had buddies who would say, oh, the Red Hot Chili Peppers are great. And I'm like, who? And then I slowly got into it, and I just sort of eked my way into the Chili Peppers. What's very interesting, I was actually watching one of my all-time favorite movies lately, Point Break, came out in 1991, right?
Great.
Who's in it? Fucking Anthony Kiedis plays the role of a surfer named Tone. It's when they get in a fight out on the beach. It's Patrick Swayze, Keanu Reeves, Johnny Utah gets his ass beat on the surfboard, and then he gets beat up by the gang of surfers, and Anthony Kiedis is one of them. What you have to keep in mind about that is when you watch the movie, now you're like, fucking Anthony Kiedis was in Point Break. Holy shit, how cool.
Nobody knew
who the fuck that guy was in 1990. In fact, Blood Sugar Sex Magic was released September 91, like you said. Point Break was released in July of 1991. Point Break was out before the big album comes out.
Right.
So, like, he was just a surfer who looked weird, and they were like, yeah, you can be in the movie.
Yeah, they were getting a little bit of airplay from Mother's Milk with Higher Ground. Higher Ground, and then Knock Me Down was the other one that there was a video. And so I was aware of it, but I just wanted to mention the album. And damn, 39 years from their album, from their debut album. Shit, man, those guys are old.
Yeah, they're old, but they are in ripping shape.
Yeah.
And they will outrun you, me, and everyone we know 100 times over.
Yeah, they're kind of like insane live. We saw them at Jazz Fest. I mean, it's just unbelievable, like how just tight they are and how they have three unbelievable, amazing musicians in a band, and they have the worst lead singer of all time. But they have just three just world class. They have John Frusciante, world class. I'm not making light of that. I'm being serious.
Right.
They have maybe the best rhythm section in all of alternative rock. And then they have Anthony Kiedis.
But Anthony Kiedis, like we said, he's part of the elements that make that delicious dish. If it's somebody else, what would that band maybe be? It might not be the Chili Peppers. Probably still be a great band.
We might not know that they're from California.
We
wouldn't have written those lyrics in every song. If there was another singer, we would be wondering where the hell they're from.
I mean, if someone would slip Anthony Kiedis a book, you know what I mean? Let me ask you this question before we move on. As a musician, Rod, you think about, and this is just kind of an open-ended question for any musician who's accomplished and who's been doing it for, 40, 50 years and doing it like every day.
Well, there you go. In my opinion, doesn't matter.
Right. But you're a little closer to a musician than I am. Okay. What point, do you keep getting better? You know what I mean? Like, is there something that's going to challenge you? You've got 4 strings on a bass. You got so many notes you're going to play. How do you keep going as a musician? And I know there's some musicians that listen to this podcast, so I hope they chime in on our social media pages. But like, how do you keep inspired?
If you truly love your instrument, I mean, do you get better at cooking when you're a chef? Do you constantly want to try new things out? Do you get better at being on the radio, or do you just get to a level that's like, you know what? I don't want to try anything new anymore. I don't want to do any new stuff. I just kind of want to do what I did that got me here. And then boom, I'm just going to kind of level off. Like, I don't think like that. I mean, I want to try new things. I want to try playing new games. And if I fall on my face in front of everybody, whatever. But when it comes to a musician, Nikki Sixx has been in the news a lot lately. And, you know, apparently he was just a brutally awful bass player back in the day. And, you know, there were rumors that maybe he wasn't playing back in the day. And, you know, the producers went in and kind of fixed everything up because he was such a damn junkie. And then Bob Rock is the one that said, listen, that guy went in and he took lessons. He worked his ass off and he became a better. And now ultimately, rumor has it, I don't know, but apparently he's a really good bass player. I think you're constantly improving. Now, there are people that, you know, as they get older, and drummers, as you get older, you are less, your physicality drops.
Right.
And it's not just like a Lars Ulrich thing, which I'm always picking on Lars, but even going to see Green Day. If you look at Trey Cool back in the day, I mean, he is swinging and he's so animated back there. And then now being, you know, a guy that's probably coming up on 50, it's almost like that Will Smith, This Is Where You Live. You're doing that really tight little dance. And it's just you're doing your physical economy comes into play. Right. Where before you were doing all these arms everywhere, you could do that as a young man, but man, you can't keep doing that as you get older. So I think that changes, but I think a lot of guys end up getting better as they play. You know, I mean, it would almost be impossible not to become better if you just constantly are playing and playing and playing. I can tell you right now, like James Hetfield is getting better as he gets older. Yep. He really is. Now, a lot of that has to do with physicality, too, with him getting cleaned up and no more drinking and no more drugging and all that. It's just unbelievable how good he was. He wasn't that great a rhythm guitar player back in the day. He was good, but you see him now and he's fucking driving, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's interesting. And again, that question is really not for everybody. The question is for your elite musicians like a Flea or a James Hetfield and these guys that just, that's part of their anatomy at this point. You know, the bass, it's like he's eating breakfast and he's got the bass on. You know what I mean? Like he's spoon in one hand, bass in the other. You live with it. So it'd be interesting to sit in a room and hear like really accomplished bass players, guitar players, or drummers. And they're talking such a language and they're so high level. You're just like, how the fuck? You know what I mean? Like to keep getting better at a craft. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's such a cool thing.
Think about like Robert Trujillo, man. He was already like this phenomenal bass player and he blew their minds. If you watch the documentary and stuff, you'll see, man, it was just clear like he was the guy. Right. They showed Pepper from I mean, not to put any other bass players down, but I mean, they showed Pepper from Pantera and they showed Twiggy Ramirez and a couple of other guys that were recognizable who are probably good bass players. But Robert was just like, holy shit, man. You know, they were, you could tell they were blown away. And then he got in Metallica and he's like, oh shit, I'm in Metallica now. And then he just drilled into his craft even further and he got better. You know, you would think, how could you get better at that? And, you know, I don't think Eddie Van Halen ever got stuck in a rut. He just constantly wanted to try new things all the time, you know? That's true. I don't know if that he got better, but he never wanted to do the same thing over and over again. He never just rested on what he could do when he was a young guy, you know? He was always trying new stuff.
And it's cool. You mentioned Robert Trujillo and he, you know, it's the old thing. Like you don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. You don't want to be the best musician in the room. No, that's your goal. But then once you get there, you kind of like, okay, like I'm a badass bass player. I just joined Metallica. These motherfuckers are great. I'm going to raise my game. There's that pushing and that pulling that goes on, which is a great thing. You know, it's like you find yourself in a rut. Well, you go find somebody who's better and go hang out with them. That's how you get better. It forces you because sitting in a room by yourself, it's hard to get better. You can practice, but unless there's some other force, you know, iron sharpens iron, as they say in the sports world, right? You want to play the best so that you get better, you know? Anyway, I don't know how the hell we got on this conversation, but it was my dumb question.
I sent Jason 2 ideas for top 5s. There was a reason for both of them too. I mean, I'm always looking for a reason. I rarely just fart out top 5s. There was an anniversary on Friday coming up, 89 years. The first prisoners arrived on the island prison of Alcatraz.
The Rock.
The Rock. San Francisco Bay, which is really cool. I've been there before twice now. It's so awesome. One of my favorite genres of movies, prison movies. One of my all-time greatest fears in life is going to prison. That and sinkholes, man. I'll tell you what, it's like, it's not cancer. It's sinkholes and fucking going to prison. Those are my two scariest things in life. But I love movies based with the prison backdrop. I absolutely love it. So I go to Jason. I'm like, man, it's one of my favorite genres of movies, man. We should maybe do a prison, our top five favorite prison movies. I also, which I thought really sucked, I don't know why I sent it, I could give a shit about Janie Lane of Warrant, who, sad and all, 12 years ago on Friday will be the anniversary of his death, died of alcohol poisoning. He was only 47 when he passed. As a sub list, I said, if you want to do like top 5 hair band singers, and you responded quite quickly. You said, yeah, let's go with the hair band singers. I'm like, damn it, I love prison movies, dude. Oh, I love prison movies. I mean, dude, 3 syllables. Shawshank Redemption. 6 syllables. 5. Shawshank Redemption. Come on, 2 words. Shawshank Redemption. We could have talked an hour on Shawshank.
I know. But this goes back to the last conversation. I'm just trying to throw a wrench into the works. Maybe, this will make us think a little harder. The prison thing is too easy. It's too easy.
No, it's not too easy.
Let's grind it out on the top 5 favorite fucking airband singers.
Is Shawshank the best prison movie?
I'm looking at the list, and we could talk about these movies. So we don't have to put them in order. You know what I mean?
Right.
Shawshank, to me, still is one of the greatest of all time. Because at the end, and spoiler alert, he breaks out.
Right.
And he gets away, which is the ultimate. That's the goal of everyone who ends up going to prison, I would assume. But then I'm looking at the list, and I'm like, God, I've always, even as a kid, Escape from Alcatraz scared the shit out of me. Like,
that's
nothing
Clint
made
Eastwood.
nothing made me not want to go to prison like watching Escape from Alcatraz. I'm like, that's some scary dudes. And I don't want to go there. It's
not
scary.
Scarier than the dudes messing with Andy. Well, Andy Dufresne. I mean, sometimes he fought him off, but I don't think Andy fought him off.
Let's just say,
I think Andy got his shit pushed in a lot. I mean, I'm led to believe that he got his shit pushed in a ton. But again, according to Red's beautiful narration, he was able to fight him off sometimes. That's what probably scared me the most.
When you slip in the word sometimes, then you just go, oh, he took it a few times. He took it a few times. And when he's in the shower and that one creepy fucker, that dude comes up and it's like,
everybody needs friends in here.
Everybody needs friends in here. You're just going, oh God, not that guy. You don't ever want to be near that guy in prison because you knew right then and there. You're like,
dude,
man, I better.
Longest Yard.
Great. The original.
Right. Longest Yard. Sports movie. Prison movie.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Both. Although, yeah, he's in both. But yeah, I wouldn't even consider the Adam Sandler one. But I was going to say Burt Reynolds is in both. There's no particular order. That's what I wrote down because I'm telling you, these are my favorite movies, man. The Great Escape.
Yep.
Cool Hand Luke.
You eat them damn eggs.
Eat the eggs. My man said he could eat 50 eggs. My man can eat 50 eggs. Longest Yard. Midnight Express.
Midnight Express. Nice.
He's in that Turkish prison camp. And that's where he freaking jerks it while she comes to visit him. Ugh.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
It's real fun.
Escape from Alcatraz. Bad Boys. Do you remember Sean Penn? Early 80s Bad Boys.
Yeah, that was a different movie than the other Bad Boys.
Yes, it wasn't the Will Smith one.
I don't think I saw it. I don't think I saw that one.
Oh my God.
Is it that great?
Bad Boys. Yeah, it's pretty great. It would be super dated right now, but complete tying this together. What's the really bastard guy? The awful prison guard from Shawshank. Who beats that guy and everything. I can't remember
the
his name.
head guard.
But he's like the real big guy with the deep voice.
Yeah.
Okay. He's a punk kid in jail with Sean Penn.
Oh,
He's
shit.
in that movie. He's in that original Bad Boys movie.
Okay.
Green Mile.
Oh,
And then there's one, my super duper duper sleeper movie is Tom Selleck, Innocent Man.
that movie's so good, dude. I haven't thought about that movie since.
Fucking great, man.
So great, and that's a completely different role for Tom Selleck.
Yep, but he was a movie
Completely.
star for a while. Like back in the day, Magnum PI, he became one of the big dudes. And then, Three Men and a Baby, but he made a couple of movies, but he made this prison movie and he's innocent and he's got to fucking shank a guy.
Yeah.
You got to shank the biggest guy just so he wouldn't take shit anymore. So, I mean, he's a guy that's not supposed to be in jail. He ends up shanking somebody in jail, never did anything out of jail. Kind of like Andy Dufresne, never really broke the law, right?
Correct.
Andy Dufresne had to break the law to get out of jail. So that should have been our top 5, man. Those are awesome movies. There's a million more. Those were off the top of my head. Didn't look up anything at all. Those were just that stream of consciousness. These are my favorite movies.
I remember Cool Hand Luke being on at the house as a kid all the time. It was always on a Saturday. It'd be on. I'd come in, sit down. I'm like, this movie's fucking boring. But then you get to the egg scene and a couple other things, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's cool. But there's some weird shit in that movie. I'm like, this is dumb.
Ooh. The soccer version of Longest Yard is Sylvester Stallone, Pele, Victory.
Victory. Yeah, that one's great.
It's the same thing. There's a soccer match, and then at the end, the convicts win. I don't know which came out first, Victory or Longest Yard.
Longest Yard, late 70s.
Yeah, Victory is probably around there. So it's a soccer movie, and like I said, Pele's in it. And I remember the people coming and rushing the field, and the convicts took off their soccer shirts and put on people's clothes, and that's how they all got out.
Brilliant.
But it's not really a traditional Sylvester Stallone movie because he doesn't really know much about the sport, so they put him in there as the goalie, and it's pretty good, man. Victory is a fucking great movie, and I know they remade that. They definitely did an English version of it, and they remade it.
Really?
Huh. Yeah, 100% they did.
I started thinking about why is it that we love prison movies? Because they make a shit ton of them. They always make prison movies. There was TV shows, Prison Break, all that stuff, right? So I'm like, why the hell do we love prison movies? That's a place where nobody in their right mind would ever want to go. Why do we love them? Well, a part of it, I'm throwing this out to the room. It's because those people are fucked up, and they're also renegades. And they don't follow rules. And there's a part of us that kind of wants to be them. You've got such great characters because they're nuts, most of them in these prison movies, and there's a small part of you in there going, fuck yeah, that's badass. But because you get sucked into the movie, you're like, yeah, that'd be great. Oh, that'd be cool. I'd love to play football, man. Playing with a bunch of and beat the guards' asses. How much fun would that be? And then you realize, but then we got to take showers. That's right. Forgot about that part. You know what I mean? I think that's part of it. I think there's a little bit of it that we're like, yeah, they're renegades. They're crazy people. They're fucked up. And that's why we cheer for them.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I'm thinking of so many more. I'm thinking that we really missed out on doing a top 5 because I probably would have put it's an old black and white one. It's called Stalag 17. William Holden. It's black and white. Oof. And that movie was made, and then they came up with the old TV show Hogan's Heroes was kind of based on Stalag 17. But man, that would be in my top 5 for sure. That would absolutely be in my top 5. Shawshank's the best. Shawshank's the best prison movie. It has to be.
Yeah, because the first time you watch it, you're blown away at how he got out. Like you didn't see that coming. I didn't see it coming. No way. First time I saw Shawshank, I'm like, how's this dude gonna get the fuck out?
Yeah.
Didn't have any idea. I mean, it was like, no way. Like that reveal is massive. I didn't see it. Didn't see it coming.
When you go to Alcatraz and take a tour, they will show you obviously the cells where the guys were. So they'll say, okay, this was where Clint Eastwood's character was, and this is where the other guys were, and there's where they dug through and all of that. Yeah, they explain all that to you. It's pretty awesome.
What's
It's
great
awesome.
what's great about Alcatraz, and I know that was made in the 70s, but the way it's filmed, it just feels cold. It feels like prison. Like, you know what I mean? Like we were talking earlier about Chef and like you're in the kitchen. It's so well done that you feel like you're in the kitchen, right? Or not Chef, The Bear.
Yeah.
And then you watch like Alcatraz and it's like, it just felt cold. It felt like prison. And then who was the old guy, the painter in Alcatraz? Remember? He's painting all the time. He painted a picture of the warden. Was
Yeah.
that Shawshank
remember.
or was that Alcatraz? I get them all confused now.
That was Alcatraz because you're kind of thinking of like the guy with
Oh.
the bird. He was the other guy.
Oh yeah, he was the other crazy fucking dude. Yeah, yeah, those prison movies are fucked up, and that's why we love them.
So we're gonna do well. I mean, there's stuff to talk about. This hairband thing, I struggled. I struggled because I struggle where to put things in what box. What is just metal? What is hair metal? What is rock? I struggled with this one a little bit. Janie Lane's death anniversary is coming up. He will not be in my top 5 list.
No.
Although I've come to appreciate Warrant's songwriting
Correct.
over the years. I really thought they were just a goof. I really did, and I put them in the same bucket as Poison, who I think are goofballs. And Janie Lane's songwriting. And it kind of took me reading a bunch of different books where people brought his name up and they said really a good songwriter. And I went and listened to some things, and he was talented and he had a good voice too.
Yeah.
But they were to me, they were like one of the main reasons why that whole genre collapsed.
Yeah.
So I could never get into them. I mean, they are like enemy number one when it comes to the collapsing of, that era of music. Because you can't blame it all on Nirvana. They were already imploding. These bands were imploding because it was just such style over substance. And so you can't just blame it on that. And I look to a band like Warrant and I just look, it's your fault. It's not Nirvana's fault. It's your fault.
And a lot of guys from that world will say the same things. Like we were killing ourselves. We were eating our young. When you had Firehouse and Warrant and Poison and bands like that, game was over. It was already over. They were just waiting for someone to come fucking turn the lights on and have the cops show up and send everybody home. And it was Nirvana that did that, which is pretty crazy. Well, we'll talk about that. First, we're gonna have to define what we consider a hair band, because there's some that I'm looked at and I'm like, yeah, that dude ain't a hair band singer. So we'll do that. But the Rod Ryan Show Care Store online, you got about one more week to buy some badass gear, all new summer merch, including a very cool brand new ball cap. They got t-shirts, koozies, stickers, a lot of cool stuff. Rod's doing some fundraising again, raising some money to purchase backpacks for Houston area kids who obviously are in need of these backpacks. Working again with Houston Children's Charity to try to outdo last year, raising over $101,000 and passing out over 3,500 filled backpacks. It's the backpack with all the supplies. So not only are you getting a cool shirt or hat or sticker, you can feel real good about where that money is going. All right. Safe, secure shopping now at the world famous Rod Ryan Show page at thebuzz.com. So I started looking at these hairballs, right? These hairband singers. And I'm like, David Lee Roth, no. Axl Rose, no. Klaus from Scorpions. I kind of went back and forth on that. I'm like, they were pre-hair band, but does he get lumped in that because their popularity was in that time period? Scorpions.
They all released songs during that era. I mean, Ozzy released music during the hair band era,
but he's not.
But nobody would ever call Ozzy Osbourne like a hair band guy.
Nope, absolutely not.
You mentioned Van Halen. No. I think that you take Dio, you take Bruce, you take Rob Halford.
Out.
They're off the table, right?
Off the table. Totally
They're
agree.
off the table.
Yeah. No, now, I went straight up, like right down the pocket of hair bands. If they had a lot of fucking hair and they were pretty, usually that kind of did the deal.
So I have one on my list that I included, and then I have one that I omitted, and I really couldn't sit there and beat somebody up over it, why I did what I did. But I guess I'll try to explain it. But this was not easy. The prison movies would have been 100 times easier.
Well, this would be a 4-hour podcast if we did the prison movies. No, this was, I got the 3 and I had to start doing some research. I got the 3 guys pretty much off the top of my head. And then I just kind of went, oh yeah, that guy. And the hard part is for doing this was you can't think about them today. You got to think about them in the heyday, right? You got to think about them in their, because if you, and any of these guys are terrible today, really. I mean, most of them, you got to look back and go, okay, yeah, that dude was a badass. That guy was cool for this reason. And
right.
Yeah. I mean, because there's some of these guys on my list, you're going to be like, yeah, dude, no, not today. But that's okay, because that was a long time ago. You're singing in your prime in the mid 1980s. So you're old today. It's hard to hit those high notes.
Yeah. I'm struggling with, there's a couple of names that I'm struggling with that I'm going to say, you're going to say, how is this guy on the list? How is this guy on and this guy not on the list? But
that's why I chose this one. It's going to be a little more interesting. See?
Okay.
I'm trying to salvage my ass here. You want me to go first so I can just get them out of the way?
Yeah, I guess.
So, I mean, I kind of thought this would be a good one to do. And I'm admitting now that I fucked this up pretty bad.
Well, okay, go ahead. Let's see.
Right.
I mean, it remains to be seen here if this is a turd or not.
Now, the criteria was top 5 favorite frontmen from the hair metal era, right? It's not necessarily singers. It's just frontmen. That's where it gets a little bit.
I put top 5 favorite hair band singers. I don't know where you're going. I mean,
it doesn't matter.
I mean, if they have a guitar around their neck, that's fine.
Okay, cool. Number 5, Tom Kiefer.
Love them.
Cinderella.
Love them. I don't think they should be a hair metal band. I think they were a rock blues based band. They just happened to come out around that time. I mean, they get lumped into that. Some of those songs should be played on classic rock radio.
Totally. And they're great songs. They don't have the sound of the hair bands, but man, their look, holy shit. They helped really solidify that hair thing, man. They got caught up in the marketing through the record label. They said, oh, tease that shit up, bro. Tease that shit up.
And then classic rock only has room for one Axl Rose. And I'm not saying that they sound similar, but that style of singing, you know, you can go AC/DC and then you can put Guns N' Roses on. But then when it comes to Cinderella, that's a hair band. And just that phrase itself. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that battle against it. And I don't think it's necessarily right. I just think that bands, they get swept under the rug and they lose a whole generation of being on the radio, because I really think Cinderella has great classic rock sons. I do.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? If you take AC/DC, right? That, you know, that's that voice is a little bit grating after a while. Axl Rose to a lesser extent.
We're talking about a style of singing, sure.
But like, I always felt that Cinderella, it was just, it was a little more nails on the chalkboard. You know what I mean? I didn't love it, but I've grown to appreciate it more over the years. So Tom Kiefer, Cinderella, number 5. Number 4, this will be fun. I'll probably eat some shit for this one. Mark Slaughter from the band Slaughter, in case you were curious. I never really liked Slaughter back in the day that much. It was never like, I had a buddy who was into him, loved him, had the fucking albums, was always writing Slaughter on his folder and shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that dude can wail his ass off. It looks like a girl, sings like a girl. I've listened to Slaughter recently and I'm like, okay, it's dated sounding. It's not great, but that dude can fucking sing, you know? And that's why I like it.
I could never get into him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He sang with Vinnie Vincent Invasion before that. and just because of Vinny and his time in Kiss. So that's the only reason why I gave that the time of day. And I looked in, back. Right. I just wanted to see what he was up to. And I could never do it. For the same reason why somebody probably says they can't stand Tom Kiefer's voice, that voice, I couldn't do it. But can he sing? Yeah.
It's weird. That's 5, 4. Number 3. God, I'm gonna eat shit for this one too. I hated them when they were out. I didn't like the band because they were in that lumping in of the bands that were the downfall. Kip Winger.
Yeah.
Kip Winger. Sorry. All right. I'll take it. Just go ahead. Kip Winger. I liked his voice, and he wrote some decent songs. They were goofy, but he was cool too, man. He was a badass, and my God, was he handsome.
The Winger Band was the best musical band of all of the hair era bands.
Amazing.
Rod Morgenstein, I don't even know what he was doing in that band. The drummer, he was just unbelievable. Reb Beach on guitar. Kip Winger's a really good bass player. And if you need the backing up of that, I mean, he was in Alice Cooper's band, and Alice Cooper gets the absolute best of the best of the best in his band. So if you've gone through Alice's band, if you've gotten his stamp of approval, you're fucking awesome. Like
Right.
he just doesn't take anybody. And back then it was even worse. He could just get anybody he wanted. You know, it was like Coverdale could get anybody he wanted. So yeah, Kip Winger he's a great musician. He's a great musician, super handsome, and he just got fucking destroyed by Beavis and Butthead.
I mean, you talk about and to get destroyed by a fucking cartoon.
I don't know that most people will know this. I'm not joking. They got destroyed by Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
They got destroyed like all other bands of that genre because of the grunge movement. But Beavis and Butthead just pushed them down even further. You're like, Rod, it's a cartoon on MTV. No, it made them absolutely untouchable for years.
Yeah, they were immediately branded.
They couldn't do anything.
Branded uncool out of the as soon as they started, it was over. Number 2, Sebastian Bach. You can't fucking touch that Skid Row album. You can't touch it. His vocals, like I remember you just the other day, and I hadn't heard it in a long time, and I'm like, God dang, that's amazing. Like it's unbelievable how good
it's world class.
It's beautiful. When you listen to that shit, you're like, wow, this is really, really awesome. Like it's special. And now he's an idiot. But back then, man, that dude could fucking wail. One of the best voices.
He is a goofy fucking dude, huh?
He's a horse's ass. He's a mess.
He's a goofy dude. He really is. I've heard him on the radio and doing interviews and stuff, and he's a goofball.
He's a better singer than he is talker. Let's just put it that way. And then number 1, my favorite all time, and maybe you want to argue this, but I feel like this is where he made his hay and made his most popularity. And you already mentioned the dude, the great English gentleman, David Coverdale of Whitesnake. I can't fault that dude at all for anything. He's cool. He's a rock star. Handsome as all get out. Here I Go Again. Come on.
He was in fucking Deep Purple.
I know. But
I mean, the guy had been playing in the 70s.
He's been around forever.
I
But
didn't put him on
Whitesnake's
my
a
list.
hair band, dude. If you take
Is it?
Whitesnake, yeah,
Is it?
yeah, big hair, the
Yeah.
chicks in the videos, the whole thing, the Tawny Katane on the car. I mean,
The stuff that
that's-
people know, you're right. The stuff that people know, you're right.
But yeah, your purists are gonna be like, "Fuck you, Ginty. Deep Purple, he was great." I don't know any Deep Purple he sang. I'm sorry, I don't. I should probably.
That just the song "Burn." That's the only thing that people know.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I just couldn't bring myself to put David Coverdale on the list. He's one of my all-time favorite singers.
So good.
And I just know the history and how long Whitesnake has been around and David Coverdale had been around. But Whitesnake,
They made their hay 84,
right.
man.
you're right. And I should have put it in my list and I didn't. And then the one that I did put in there, it's like, it was kind of like before that, but okay. Okay. I'm all over the place on this too.
It's hard.
Couple of things we match up on. In at number 5, Steve Whiteman, Kicks. He fucking has a killer voice. When I was playing with your boys, Mike Gallardi out there in Lockport, New York, Kicks was kind of happening. and we were doing a bunch of that stuff. But I mean, Don't Close Your Eyes was the big ballad.
Beautiful
Cold
song.
Blood, Blow My Fuse, Get It While It's Hot, Red Light, Green Light, TNT. I mean, he had a really good voice. As a matter of fact, I think he may have taught singing. And they just recently announced their retirement, if you can believe that. They're still playing. But boy, that guy could sing his ass off. I'm a huge Kicks fan. I have 3 of their albums, and for all I know, they got 20. But the 3 albums that I have, there's just fucking bangers on there, and he can sing his ass off. Steve Whiteman, I believe he's a vocal coach, so he's that kind of level singer.
Wow.
In at number 4, I put Sebastian Bach. He's got the best voice. I mean, after Coverdale, he's got the best voice, but just got burned out on so much of that stuff. Him being a goofball now, you said you got to judge them from when they were doing at their peak of their performing. I don't know. He's great. He's great. He's in my top 5. Sebastian Bach is fucking great. And I've seen him on too much stuff. I've just seen him. And then even on like goofy, like VH1, like the rock and rollers all trying to live together in a house. And he just seemed like the biggest asshole. And that should not play into this because we're talking about singers from the Hair era. And he was one of the best. I mean, and he was young. He was so unbelievably young. Problem was, he gets hired for Skid Row. 18 in life, everything's done. Everything's written. He's not getting the money from that stuff. And even though, I mean, Snake Sabo probably wrote all that stuff or whatever, it was written, but there's no denying what he fucking did to those songs, Who's
going to sing them like that?
Correct. And there's no way that they wrote it like that. Somebody pulled that out of Sebastian Bach to sing the songs like that. But technically, he didn't write the songs. He's not getting that. He's not getting the writer's money. It's a huge difference. The size of the homes. And I'm sure Sebastian Bach's okay. But there's a big difference between the size of the homes of the songwriter. Johnny Resnick's house is probably a little bit bigger than Robbie's.
Way bigger, I'm sure. Well, that's the thing nowadays is you want to get your name on that song. Get the publishing, get a percentage, get a cut. Yeah. You always get a line on that song.
Sebastian's in at number 4. In at number 3, really trying to keep it hair bands. Mark Torian, Bullet Boys, man. They kind of were projected to be the next Van Halen. He was projected to be. Now they didn't have anything like Eddie in the band, but it was Mark Torian. It was the lead singer who had this unbelievable voice. Like David Lee Roth never shut up during the songs, was always making noises and woo-hoos and everything. They got Ted Templeman to do the first album, Smooth Up In Ya,
For the Love of Money. Yeah.
He's a great one. He's still in the band. He's still out playing his Bullet Boys. He's the only original member of the band still.
Man.
But he was great. He looked cool. They looked cool. They were great. They were awesome. And then 2 albums, and then the third, I think 2, and they fizzled out.
I mean, I bought the hype because when they came out, this is the next Van Halen. So what did I do? I walked into the store. I said, give me that Bullet Boys thing. I didn't hear the fucking songs. I went and bought it immediately. I'm like, okay, let's see what you got. And I listened to it a bunch of times. I'm like, it's cool. I like some of it. I loved a couple of the tunes. And that was that. I was done with the Bullet Boys after that. I didn't know they did a second album. I didn't care. It was cool. I thought that dude was a badass. Sing his ass off.
It might have been the second album, Zaza. Might have been the third. It might have been one. Like,
whatever. I don't give a shit. It just wasn't there. It wasn't even comparing it to Van Halen because you can't, anytime you hear, Greta Van Fleet, the next Led Zeppelin, you immediately go, oh, good luck, boys. You're fucked. That's a kiss of death, man, for any band.
But man, that Bullet Boy album is fucking awesome. Start to finish.
It's cool.
That whole album is great. I mean, there's the goofy stuff. There's the Ice Cream Man sounding shit. I mean, it really was like, let's see if we've got another Van Halen on our hands here.
Yeah, they did.
In at number 2, before the hair stuff, but I wanted to mention him. I put Kevin Dubrow from Quiet Riot. Are they a hair band?
Yeah, Quiet Riot's a fucking hair band. Come on,
Are
Feel the
they?
Noise kicked it off, basically. Don't you think, Matt? The Quiet
It was-
Riot kind of kicked because they went to #1 with Mental Health album,
Right.
83, 84. And then, they were on Solid Gold and they were, hair bands. Our guys broke through to the mainstream. That's why I looked at it. I'm like, holy fuck, one of us broke through, dude. Holy shit.
You could call them the Nirvana of hair bands.
That's a weird sentence structurally, but yes, I suppose that would work.
So I thought they should be included. And Kevin Dubrow, one of the best rockumentaries that you can see is the one that's done now. He's no longer with us, but the drummer of Quiet Riot put out a documentary.
He's
And
no
him and
longer around
Kevin-
either.
Yeah, and him and Kevin were best friends. And when they were trying out lead singers, that's when I realized, holy shit, man, nobody can sing like Kevin Dubrow.
Mm-mm.
Nobody
unique.
can sing that stuff. I mean, did you see that documentary?
I did not know.
Dude, it's one of the absolute best. And they kind of poke fun at themselves a little bit. There's a guy getting married in Vegas, and a guy in the lobby says, dude, I can do it. I can be your singer. And they're like, fuck, all right, well, you're not getting married for 20 minutes. They take the guy upstairs in the room and they're rolling film on this. And the guy's singing to a fucking boombox. He becomes their singer. He becomes their singer. He auditions in a suite in a Vegas hotel room before the guitar player is getting married. It's just silly shit like that. And he was replacing the guy that was fucking a painter who fell asleep on stage.
Jesus.
It is absolutely one of the greatest rock docs ever. I don't know the specific name of it, but if you just looked up Quiet Riot. But back to my original, why I put Kevin on here, is nobody could sing that stuff.
No.
Kevin Dubrow's voice was powerful.
They just couldn't
And-
write their own songs because they did. Come on, Feel the Noise was an old Slade song, and that was the big one. They didn't, they didn't want to even record that song. They rehearsed it like twice, ran it through. And Frankie
Yeah.
Banali, the drummer, he's like, yeah. And I remember watching an interview or reading somewhere. He said, yeah, we went to record it, and the way the drums start, that's not how it was supposed to go. But nobody wanted to fucking do it, so we ripped through it quick. And I did the drums wrong in the beginning of the song, but we kept it because we didn't give a shit. We thought it was going to be a throwaway. It's insane.
Yeah, they didn't want to
Absolutely
do it. And then
Yeah, didn't want to do it. And it
became the
becomes
band's biggest hit and everything. So Kevin Dubrow in at number 2. I did not put Coverdale on my list, but my number 1 is just for the reasons that I was talking about earlier. Tom Kiefer. I really feel like that band fucking got the shaft being like labeled a hair band, and I think they're completely being robbed from being on classic rock radio. Those songs are blues songs, man.
Yep.
Took the last train out of my heart and all that stuff. It's insane to me that stuff's not being played on the radio, except for, the hair metal station on XM and probably a few handful of rock stations in the country. But that band got the shaft. And yeah, I don't know. He's my favorite. And it's a weird voice. I get it. It's a fucking weird voice because he can sing.
right.
You hear the parts that he sings, don't know what you got till it's gone. He sings and then he's like, rah, 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 rah. He does that fucking high thing. And it works for me, but I don't think it works for anyone else.
No, well, you know how radio works. You test songs with focus groups and shit, and people have tested that stuff over the years, and it just doesn't fly. It doesn't work. I think it it got limited popularity in the heyday of the late 80s, and then grunge it went away, and it never sort of came back because it just never sort of fit. And I've worked in classic rock radio for years back in the day, and never crossed my mind. I got to be honest, because it just nobody was playing it. Didn't work on the radio. And how much Cinderella really got played on the radio back in the day? We played a few at the Fox.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
They had 4 or 5 songs on the radio.
But it wasn't like they were like eating it up. They weren't like the band ever. I don't think.
Right.
They always kind of slipped through the cracks a little bit, in a weird way.
Would Joe Elliott have been an option if you love Def Leppard, would Joe Elliott be an option for a hair metal lead singer?
Yeah, because I would have. He was on my list, but just the way their albums are produced, there's so much help. You know, I don't know if the guy can really sing or not. I have no idea because there's so much help on those albums. You know,
He kind of can, man. They're still out performing live, and
Right.
you know, they're still doing it live, though. I mean, I don't think there's just a ton of backing tracks and stuff when they perform live. I mean, I would have allowed it. Like I said, Coverdale. Yeah, you talked me into it. They're a hair, Whitesnake's a hair band.
Yeah.
Axl Rose.
Nah.
Does anybody think Guns N' Roses is a hair band, like a hair glam band?
No, because
Right?
you said it before. They're one of the reasons that the traditional hair died because they came out and they were just dirtbags. They didn't give a shit about their hair. I mean, yeah, Axl had that first video where it was teased up, but outside of that, that was just a dirty, scary band. There was not that hair band image. They were not Poison at all.
Motley Crue's biggest production was during this era. Hair band?
See, that's where I kind of went against my own rules a little bit because Vince Neil's voice I've always loved on the albums. I fucking love that dude's voice.
Oh my God.
But he can't sing for shit anymore. So that's where I kind of went and thought, yeah, that's why I don't think I put him in there because he's fucking rocks. I've seen him many times over the years. And yeah, I fucking can't sing.
They're a hair metal band.
Totally. But he can't fucking sing.
Are they a hair metal band?
Yeah. Motley Crue.
Okay.
I think so. Because they were actually, if you think about what was it, 83? Too Fast for or Shout at the Devil? You can't count Too Fast for Love. Nobody knew what the fuck that was.
Shout at the Devil's probably
82.
right.
So they're in the beginning stages of it all. I'd say
83, 84.
Theater of Pain, Home Sweet Home.
They're with that's the peak of hair.
Theater of Pain.
Hair glam rock.
Theater of Pain was when they really got that uber popularity, crossed over to a lot of different things. Home Sweet Home, you got the poster on the wall, Tommy Lee, all that good shit.
Two bands that I love during this era, but the singers are just not great, is Dokken. Don Dokken's got a horrible voice. Even back in the day, had a horrible voice, but they had great songs. And George Lynch was fucking Eddie Van Halen-esque. Right. So that's why they didn't get mentioned. And Rat has fucking a million great songs, but I just never thought Stephen Pearcy had a great voice, No. I love Rat. I absolutely love Rat.
Did you see the Dio documentary that like Eddie Trunk did and his wife and Dio's wife did? Did you ever see that? Yeah. It's on cable somewhere. I watched it and it was cool. I didn't know a lot of that shit about Dio starting off in the fucking 60s in a doo-wop band and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But there was a great thing where they were doing the We Are the World where all the pop stars got together. They did a metal version of some sort of charity thing.
Yeah, the band, it was called Hearing Aid.
Hearing Aid, right. So Ronnie was really kind of running the show in the studio, it looked like, from what I gathered. And all these amazing singers are coming through. And Don Dokken comes through it and they just show him singing and Ronnie's just going, bopping his head. And then Don Dokken comes in and shakes Ronnie's hand like he's meeting God or something, And Ronnie makes this great comedy. He goes, oh yeah, Don Dokken. Rocking with Dokken, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. It just sort of dismisses him out of the fucking room. Ronnie James Dio's like, okay, all right, we'll bury we'll fix it.
Yeah, because even Don Dokken said, oh my God, I'm singing in front of Dio, because
nobody wanted
Don
to do
Dokken
that.
didn't say is I can't sing. But yeah, no, Ronnie James Dio was like the Quincy Jones of We Are the World.
Yeah.
Quincy put that together. With Michael Jackson, and Dio was the guy, he was the guy behind the board and, keeping everybody in line and stuff.
So cool though, man. Yeah. And what was great about that documentary was, Ronnie James Dio started out playing the trumpet, which is like one of the hardest fucking instruments to play because you have to have so much lung capacity and strength in your diaphragm to play a trumpet. Right. And he credits playing the trumpet as a kid to his massively powerful voice. He wouldn't have had it wasn't for that, It's like
that makes sense. Jesus Christ, if he played the tuba, he would have fucking blown every speaker in the world.
Didn't need a microphone, man. Holy shit.
You need air for a trumpet. You should try blowing a fucking French horn sometime. Christ.
No, I'm gonna stay away from that stuff. There's plenty of people in New Orleans that know how to do that. I'm good. I got you.
I'm trying to think. So, yeah, we were pretty on the same page with everything else. I'm trying to see if we've glaringly missed anybody. There's just one hit wonders, and if somebody's going to say, "Well, what about that dude from Steelheart?" and blah blah blah. It's like, come on,
They were
you're going to
really
put him on. You're going to put him on the list for one song.
Nah, yeah. I mean, you listen to that dude's voice, and he fucking rips. But
It's insane.
one song, all right, we got you. And don't start hitting us up on the deep cuts. We got it. It's like once you get past "Don't Close Your Eyes" from Kicks, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm wandering around the woods looking around, like I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm a huge Kicks fan, man. They had a bunch of hits. They had a bunch of hits on their hand.
Yeah, they had a bunch of hits in your house. They're your van.
Ross Graham. Ross Graham, just because I got to mention a Canadian on this show, lead singer, little tiny guy, Killer Dwarfs. Remember them?
Holy shit. What was their song?
It doesn't matter at all.
Killer Dwarfs.
Dun, 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 dun. Dirty Weapons. It doesn't matter, and Dirty Weapons. You'll go and listen to it after the pod. You'll say, "Fuck, Rod's right. That guy's voice. He's just kind of a goofball. He was a little short guy, and Canadians sometimes resorted to humor with their music, and just it was, I don't know. I mean, if you look at the early Bare Naked Lady stuff, they were kind of goofballs, and they always like introduced humor. This was a small little guy. The name of the band was the Killer Dwarfs. He had a huge voice on him. He had a really good voice. He hit some Rick Emmett voice, some Rick Emmett notes, but he was a little guy, and he always was goofy on stage, compensating for him being a small dude.
Wow.
The Killer Dwarfs, 2 albums, and I'm out. But I had to go look up his name too. I don't know his name. Russ Graham, Killer Dwarfs, It Doesn't Matter, and Dirty Weapons, Stand Tall is another single of theirs.
I do remember that band. I did not remember those songs, and I sure as shit didn't know who
You'll
the
know it
dude
when you hear
was.
it.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter as a ballad. It's like it's their power ballad. You'll totally remember it when you listen to it. It's a really good song. You're like, oh shit, this is a really good song.
See, this is why this podcast is it doesn't take that long to do it. Problem is, as soon as I get done, I spend the next 4 hours listening to music all night. So I wake up every Thursday morning because we record on a Wednesday night. Thursday mornings, I'm wandering around with like 3 hours of sleep because everyone's like, "Why you look like shit today?" I'm like, "Fucking podcast last night. Wow, how long does it take you guys to do it? Not that long, actually." It's all the bullshit. I'll go look up movie scenes and I'll go listen to music.
Right.
It's just I'm stuck with it, and I'm like, fuck. Because then if I don't do it tonight, I'll just forget about it. For instance, you brought up last episode that you played a song on your morning show.
Ooh, I was gonna save this. Go ahead.
From Chris Stapleton. Now,
Yes.
you are an alternative rock station. Chris Stapleton is definitely a country artist. Okay?
No question. Like one of the biggest country artists out there right now. And my words exactly, because I said them. This is the best rock song out there right now. So did you get a chance to listen to it?
I did. I listened to it 3 times. And Chef, I'm not feeling this one. I'm not feeling this. Ain't Harry Styles, bro.
Whoa.
Now, look, let me just say, I like the song. The fucking song is great. I love the song.
Yeah.
I ain't playing it on my alternative radio station. It's not as palatable as Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll is not a twangy country song. The second I started the Chris Stapleton song, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a fun country song. So I can see where you're losing some guys on that one because you said last episode you had some comments.
Oh yeah,
I see it. Oh, it's a great fucking song. Holy shit, is it cool? I can't play that one. I got my limits, bro. I can't do that one. I love it though.
Yeah. No one else is playing it. I mean, no rock station. So still in the United States of America, no rock station has jumped out on it. Certainly no alternative stations. We're kind of like this weird hybrid kind of station, but we are an alternative radio station that
rocks.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, just every now and then try something different, but you like the song though? I mean,
I do.
I know you. I know me. You know me. We're not country guys at all. No. You can appreciate the stuff. You can appreciate music. Good music is good music. But this guy's voice, man. I don't have new stuff coming from Chris Cornell anymore.
No.
And I'm not saying that he sounds like him, but his voice is doing that for me. His voice is that thing that Chris Cornell's voice did for me on those cover songs, that last album that he put out. Chris Stapleton's voice is doing it for me, dude.
Yeah.
And if it's packaged up in a twangy country thing, fuck, I might be switching teams, man.
Yeah, but it's not super country. You know, we were at the beach a couple weeks ago, and I'm sitting there with my son, and somebody had a radio on, and they're playing a bunch of country music. And as soon as the dude turned it on, it was like 10 seconds, and we both looked at each other and started rolling our eyes like, oh, fuck.
Oh,
I'm stuck next to this bullshit. Because
Yep.
and then we started playing the game. How soon do we hear a lyric about a truck, my beer, or my dog? You know, the cliches. And literally it was every song. And I said, listen, and my son's really into music and he gets it, you know, and I've never force fed him anything. I serve it up and he either likes it or he doesn't, just like anybody else. I don't say, well, you need to listen to alternative rock. Oh, you need to listen to Metallica. I'll introduce it. If he digs it, great. If he doesn't, that's fine. I said, listen, I don't want you to hate country music because of this horse shit, this bro country crap. I said, you got to go dig around in some Johnny Cash and you got to go old school on some shit, right? This Chris Stapleton, a great example, you know, and there's others out there. I said, go get some of that older shit. This new stuff is fucking bad. It's just bad. It's music for people who hate thinking or something. I don't know what it is. It's fucking terrible. It's overproduced. It's slick. It's just terrible shit.
Yeah.
But those country guys eat it up, man. Like I'm on calls with country programmers, and they just, as soon as that fucking song says something about a Ford truck or whatever shitty line, they're just like, oh, this is gonna be great. And I'm like listening to it going, this is a dog shit song. It's just fucking bad, dude.
Yeah, I don't think I'm switching anytime soon, but I think Chris Stapleton is just, I don't know. I think he's just a different guy. I think he's just a different guy. I do.
He's kind of his own dude. He's a badass. You listen to his shit and it's just like, fuck. He's got something to say. That's what it is. He's got something to say. It's not just, hey, I'm in my truck driving around town looking for chickens or whatever the fuck it is out there, you know? So yeah, no, I'm not playing that one on the radio, dude. Can't do it.
Right.
I like the song. I'm not playing it.
Listen, our long-standing sponsor here on the Playpants podcast, it's our friends over at the Pirates of the Quarter. You've heard of them before, right? Next time you visit New Orleans, big weekend coming up, man. Red Dress Run. Be sure and book the Pirate Tour. Now, Pirate Tour's not going on this weekend. How does that work? Red Dress Run is all day on Saturday, and it's a beast. I mean, it's a monster of a day.
There'll be no tours on Saturday. You can take them on Sunday. You can take them on Friday, but it's just too much chaos in the quarter, so you can't.
Yeah, it's absolute bedlam this weekend in the quarter. But okay, so there you have it. If you are heading in for Red Dress Run, which is an amazing thing, Friday, Sunday, book your tour, piratesofthequarter.com. And then don't forget, when you go to the website, piratesofthequarter.com, check out that store page. Man, they got some killer merch in there right now. If you want to show your love of pirates all year round, man, you can buy some pirate t-shirts, piratesofthequarter.com. They've got it right there for you. Everything at piratesofthequarter.com, and then at Pirates of the Quarter, all the socials, and book them for this weekend. My final thought was going to be, did you get a chance to listen to the song? But you already kind of told me about that. I know it's a stretch to play that on my radio station. It probably won't get played on any other, certainly not an alternative radio station. It'll be interesting to see if some rock stations, which there's still a format of rock radio station out there. And it'll be interesting to see if somebody picks up that Chris Stapleton song. I don't know. We have not played it. I played it last week.
3 times.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah.
I looked. You played it 3 times, bro.
Yep.
You know, we talk a lot about radio, obviously, because that's what we do for a living, you know? And you know how it is, Rod. You're out. People are like, oh, you're Rod Ryan from The Buzz. Holy shit, cool. Can I get a picture? You know, that happens from time to time. It happens to me from time to time. Hey, you're Ginty. You're on the radio. Holy shit. How cool, man. You know, wow, that's great. And there are plenty of perks that come with this gig. You know it. I know it. Everyone knows it. It's great. I love doing it. I don't do radio for those perks and that recognition. I don't care. I do it because I love the creative outlet that it gives me. It makes me think something new every single day, right? Same with you. You got to produce a 4-hour show every day. I got to produce a radio station every day and a show and all these things. So we're always working. You're always thinking of the next thing, and it's great. Keeps your brain moving. When you're on the management side, though, and I am a program director, Andy Travis, if you will, from WKRP, you've been a program director. Sometimes you got to handle some biz, right? You got to take care of some things because it inevitably will all fall on your desk. Now, I'm there to pick music, do some things, have some promotions, give away concert tickets, radio shit. My engineer comes in the other day and he goes, "Hey, man, we got a problem." I go, "Okay." Engineer says we got a problem. That means we're off the air or something bad is happening, right? He goes, "Someone's taking a shit at night and not flushing. And in the morning, it's pretty much fucking gumbo. And I got to come in here every morning to look at it." And
let me get the PD on that. Let me get the program director on that.
Am I programming the shit house? You know what I mean? And I said, "Okay."
Yeah.
So I go, you know what I did? I did what anyone would have done in that moment. I fucking swept it under the rug. I went, "Okay, I'll say something to somebody. I don't know." I'm like, I'm not fucking going up to a human being going, "Hey, flush the toilet."
Happening often that he came to you? Like there's a serial pooper leaving it. I mean, you wouldn't think you'd just walk into that one time and you'd go see the program director about that.
He said it happened a couple of times and he was a little bit grossed out by it. And he's like, "We have to address this." And of course, I'm being the good program director soldier and I'm taking it serious because, you got to in this day and age. And I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'll put out a note or something." And again, I swept it under the rug. I fucking blew past it. I ignored it. So I'm in early this morning. My general manager comes in and he runs all the stations, right? Now, this is the boss. This is the boss, right?
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, Ginty, how you doing? Hey, man, I want to talk to you about a couple of things. And first I gotta hit the head." I go, "Okay, cool." He fucking door opens up, goes in. All I hear is, "What the fuck?"
He walks into shit.
He goes, "And there's a fucking biscuit stewing." And he comes out and he goes, "What the fuck? What kind of," and I'm not going to repeat what he said because he is a general manager, but it wasn't, it was a little colorful, if you will. And he was pissed about it. So I'm like, "Oh shit, now I might have to actually do something." But then in my head, I'm thinking, "Oh, the general manager discovered it. Well, then this will be falling on his responsibility, right?" So I'm trying to play this game of not getting involved as much as possible. And then the engineer comes in an hour later.
You didn't volunteer like, "Hey, yeah, that was brought to my attention. I've been meaning to get to you about that."
No, I sat on my hands. I didn't say shit because that's what you do in this situation. And and then the engineer comes back an hour later and he goes, "Hey, man, I talked to the GM. He's a little upset about the bathroom." I'm like, "Fuck." So I go, "All right, I'll send an email." Dude, I started writing an email that I'm going to send out to all the dudes that work in the radio station. Hey, and I got it like halfway through it and I closed it up and I deleted it. I can't send an email about flush the goddamn toilet.
I think you can.
I think I'm going to have to in the morning, but I wasn't in the headspace to do it tonight. So I could just hang a sign in there, paper, boom. "Hey, be sure to flush, boys."
Why would you not bring that draft in for the listener and me? Why would you not have that draft like for us to kind of, like you could try it out on me? Why wouldn't you have that ready to go for this show?
Hey guys, if you go,
why didn't we lead with this? Why are we closing with this? I mean, we don't get that many people watching and listening to this dumb podcast, but would you lead with that next time, please? And then if we do it 3 weeks in a row, will you start with this? And then I'd like the letter read. And then I would like to know every single thing that happened once you hit send.
Okay.
Would you start the podcast off next week with this?
I will attack this problem head on. Okay. I will get in on it. I will write a very well-crafted email and then
do you not want people listening to us? I mean, why would you save this for the end?
It is pretty good.
There's probably 2 people hanging on right now.
They're
2.
enjoying the shit out of it.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, anyway, just to reiterate in closing.
Yeah, flush your logs.
That's what you got to deal with as a program director. Super cool guy, radio station, and I gotta fucking send an email tomorrow to a bunch of grown ass men to remind them to flush the toilet at work. That's not in my contract, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Greatest ending of the show ever.
Thanks. Yeah, it's not what I had on my final thought, but I kind of remembered it, and I was like, "Fuck, I gotta throw this one out to the room, see what people think." If it's brown, flush it down, bruh.
Yeah.
That's what we gotta do. So anyway, I'm done. I've had enough for tonight. I'm out.
All right, bro. Thank you guys. If you are just listening to this, you can watch it on our YouTube channel at Playpants Pod, and then Twitter and Facebook and wherever you get your podcasts. Great. Thank you for listening to this nonsense.
Flush, please.
And flush.
Let's go. It's time. Put on play pants.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts. See us on our YouTube channel and follow our social media pages at Playpants Pod.